Hey, welcome back to the Soul Pod. This is Stacy. This video is for anyone who feels like they've been getting frustrated. They're doing the work but not getting the results. If that's you, hang tight. You're going to like this. This is about the 1% rule, which I talk about a lot. The 1% rule matters because we do get frustrated when we're making the effort and we're trying and we're trying and we're trying and we're not seeing the results. There's a reason for that. Progress happens slowly, but if you stick with it long enough, it makes a difference. The analogy I used to love to use was, you get on a plane in LA bound for London, and when you get in the air, the pilot changes 1 degree and you end up in Moscow. The idea is that over a long period of time, you get far different results, right? Another good analogy is the snowball effect. The concept of, like every avalanche you've ever seen didn't start as an avalanche. It started as a small cupful or less of snow moving, and then that gained traction and ultimately became an avalanche. That's the exact same thing in our lives. This is the nature of the universe. We're all part of the universe. We're all part of the universal laws. We're all subject to those universal laws for good and for bad. The good, though, is that we too can have the snowball effect in our lives. All great things happen that way, piece by piece. There's no such thing as an instant success. You think of all the great stories you've heard, all the successful people that you've met or you've read about. They'll tell you stories of grueling, miserable steps along the way before the avalanche. And usually it's right before the avalanche that most of these folks give up. But not the success stories we hear about. It's the stories we never hear about that give up. So I want to make sure that you don't give up and that you're doing the right things to get where you want to get. Lao Tzu, the famous Chinese philosopher and mystic, said a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. So let's start with that. The first step to get where you want to go is to make the first step. A lot of us get that down, no problem, but then we get frustrated, right? But we go to Confucius. Confucius said something lovely. The man who moves a mountain begins by moving away small stones. You don't move a mountain overnight, and you don't do it all in one shot. You do it a little bit at a time. So let's take Lao Tzu. We got to begin with that single step. That means we get in the air and we adjust our direction just 1 small degree. Now, 1 small degree is beautiful, as I've mentioned before. Anyone can make a small change and just stick with it. If you make a small change and stick with it, you can do it. The mistake a lot of us make is we get in the air and we change 40 degrees. Now it's a completely different life. It's very challenging to stay on course when we've made massive changes. It's not hard to stay on course when we make small changes. Think of anything in your life that you're trying to change and think of how you've tried to change it in the past. Was it a small change or a massive change? Most of us make the mistake of massive change. We'll try huge, crazy things like, okay, tomorrow I'm not going to be this way, or tomorrow I'm going to be this way. I'm going to have greater discipline, and it's a massive change. But we do a small change now and we stick with it. We'll move that mountain over time. Okay. This is not a new idea, as we've seen, like Lao Tzu and Confucius. This is thousands and thousands of years old. And progress does take time. Consider the Yosemite Valley. The Yosemite Valley is one of the most beautiful places on earth. If you've ever stood looking out over the Yosemite Valley and seen Half Dome and El Capitan, it's majestic, it's amazing, it's one of a kind place on earth. That entire valley was created by glacial movement. During the last great ice age, possibly even before the last great ice age, it was all covered with glacial ice. And as it went through that valley, it tore a mountain in half and created Half Dome. That's why Half Dome exists today, because glacial movement, moving slower than your eye can perceive, ripped a mountain in half. And that was, again, probably a 1% change over a long period of time. We can all be Half Dome if we want to be. We can all be that amazing rock. We just have to put the work in. So progress over time is really important. Oh, there was a quote from the Bible, too, I want to share. Jesus said, "Ask and it will be given. Seek and you will find, knock and the door will be opened for you." What he was talking about was intention. Intention. So again, the reason I'm sharing these 3 quotes is this is not a new idea. I'm talking about something today that applies to our life in this modern world, but everyone has known this thousands of years back, prior to Jesus, into Jesus' time. And now you can find a book written by somebody like Steve Jobs that says the same thing. Small changes over a long period of time make a huge difference. Okay. But it's about intention. And that's what, in the Bible, what Jesus was talking about was intention. It's not that you knock and you get everything you want, but you have to have intention. Once you set the intention, you ask, you shall receive. These are ideas, but you must hold that course over a long period of time. I've got a quote from Swami Vivekananda. He said, take up one idea, make that idea your life, think of it, dream of it, live on that idea. That is the way of success. That is the way of success. And he's talking about anything, whether it's, quitting drinking, developing better habits, making sure you exercise and take care of your body. It's all small things, little 1% changes over a long period of time. Now, Vivekananda talks about taking on one thing and making it your life. You can do this with multiple things. In my life, I have, countless, probably 8 or 9 different things, maybe 10, maybe 12, that are 1% changes. I make, in that particular aspect of my life, that is a huge focus, to become better at this, or to become stronger at this, or to stop doing this. It can become your life, and all of those things can be happening at the same time. You can make subtle changes all across the tapestry of your life and end up with a much better result in the long run. Are you doing that? Can you think of one way right now that you can change? One thing you want to change that you're struggling with? Is it possibly because you're making far too much of a change and expecting much faster results? You can change this. Use the 1% rule. Change happens over a long period of time, and this is the trick. It all starts with your thoughts. It all starts with your thoughts. If you approach it with the right mindset, that I'm going to make small changes now and get great results later, it's like raising children. It's a lot of little bitty moments over a very long period of time, and then you send them out in the world and hope for the best. Our thoughts are like little children. Think good thoughts, focus on the right things, don't expect results overnight. That's the 1% rule. Thanks for being here. I appreciate that you're here. If you haven't checked out the Soul Podcast yet, check the link in the show notes. The Soul Podcast are longer versions of these ideas that go into great tools, tips, tricks, wonderful things you can put in your spiritual growth toolbox. I'll see you in the next video.